A couple of weeks ago, I did an episode on the challenges with nuclear power, and the response, especially on LinkedIn, was intense. And what that reaction made clear is this: there's still a lot of confusion between what could work in theory and what can actually be delivered on real timelines to meet the grid challenges we're facing right now. So I want to take a few minutes and separate those two things clearly. But before we dive in, take a second to like the episode, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. It's free and it helps more people find these conversations. Now let's get into this. And this discussion, it's not about being pro or anti-nuclear. It's not about fear, ideology, or preferences. It's about execution. Specifically, what can be financed, permitted, built, interconnected, and relied upon in the 2020s, not in an idolized future. So nuclear power, it scores really well on physics. It's low carbon, it's reliable once it's operating, it has a long potential lifespan. None of that is controversial. But grids, they don't run on physics alone. They run on delivery. Delivery means timelines. Delivery means capital risk. Delivery means workforce, supply chains, permitting, and interconnection. And those constraints are where nuclear consistently struggles today in the US and much of the West. Electricity demand is not a future problem. It's a now problem. Data centers, electrification, industrial load growth, all of that is hitting the grid this decade. A resource that takes 15 to 20 years to deliver, that doesn't solve a shortage unfolding in the next 5 years. And that doesn't make nuclear bad. It just makes it mismatched to the timeline of the current challenge. So when people point to real-world projects like Vogtle, that isn't cherry-picking. It's using actual data. Plant Vogtle, Units 3 and 4 came online years late and tens of billions over budget. Those are documented outcomes, not opinions. That's the most recent nuclear project here in the U.S. So, could nuclear be built faster and cheaper under different political, regulatory, or economic systems? Sure. But the grid doesn't run on hypotheticals. It runs on the system we actually have, and recent projects tell us a lot about what that system can and can't deliver. Another argument I hear a lot is about asset lifespan. So utility scale wind and solar are typically designed for 25, 30, 40 plus years, which is comparable to the original design life of most thermal plants. The difference is modularity. Wind and solar are often repowered, not abandoned. Technology improves, components are upgraded, sites stay in service. Faster turnover isn't a flaw, it's flexibility. It reduces lock-in and stranded asset risk in a rapidly changing system. One more thing that needs to be said clearly: base load is not the same thing as reliability in modern grids. What today's grids lack isn't energy, it's flexibility. Fast responding resources, dispatchable capacity, peak management. Storage, demand response, and modular clean energy are solving these problems right now at scale. Now, none of this means nuclear has no role. Nuclear can absolutely be part of long-term planning, especially in regions with limited renewable resources, stable regulatory environments, and strong public support. But it's a parallel track, not a near-term substitute for solutions that can deploy quickly. The mistake some keep making is confusing what might be optimal over 80 or 100 years with what can actually be delivered in time to keep the lights on this decade. If we don't separate those questions, we delay solutions that are already available. And that's a risk that the grid doesn't have time to take. That's the conversation we need to be having. Thanks for listening. If you want deeper dives on grid reliability, timelines, and real-world deployment constraints, that's what we keep doing here. Catch you next time.